What's going on, guys? Back again here with another video, and I sold the bike and bought a truck.
In audio.
So this is my 2002 F350 here, as you can see by this badge. It's got the 7.3 liter powerstroke diesel, as you can see by this badge. This thing's got some things that need to be done to it, but it isn't too bad overall. So I'm just going to show you some things this thing has and some of the things that we're going to do. All right, so just to start off with the interior, nothing super special here. It's a XLT 2000 interior, which basically means a super basic cloth interior with some power windows and locks. It's a ZF6 manual transmission. It's got the 4x shift on the floor, manual shift, not the knob on there. So a lot more reliable, a lot less things to deal with. I plan on upgrading the radio at some point to a better head unit. As you can see up in there, that's just a basic stock radio head unit. That's what you got in this thing from 2002. That's pretty much it for the interior. Nothing super special in here. And I'm just gonna walk around the outside. On the outside of the truck, one of the things that I'm gonna do probably in the future, it's not a huge priority right now because this door doesn't leak or anything, but somebody at some point hit this thing with what I can only assume is a forklift, or maybe a backhoe with forks on it, because it's got a nice little tear here, nice little hole there, and I'll walk you back onto the flatbed in a second and show you where there's a dent there that I'm also assuming came from a forklift. But I'm gonna replace this door. It doesn't really fit super great at the top. We've got some trim that's missing. It's obviously got a hole in it, and I can actually stick my finger in the gap, but it doesn't leak. So that'll be a future thing. These things aren't super hard to get a hold of. They fit for most of the years from about 99 up to 10. So I think I'll have a pretty good time sourcing this door. I just don't know if I'm able to find one in this color, but we'll do that. From factory was a cabin chassis, which for those of you that don't know what that means that this did not have a bed on it from factory. When it came from the factory, this not here. It was just the cab and the frame underneath, no bed. So the guy that bought this brand new back in 2002 put a bed on it. This bed has been on there since 2002. You come over here, camera girl, you can see the manufacturing date. Been on there for a long time. So this has got a flat bed on it. It's got some toolboxes on it. It's pretty solid. I don't think we're really gonna have to do anything to this. I'm not gonna show you guys, but underneath that little flap is a little gooseneck ball. So this thing does have the ability to tow gooseneck trailers. Coming around back here, we've got all of our basic lighting and such for a flatbed. Some of these lights are kind of finicky. They don't always work quite right. That one doesn't, the brake light doesn't work for some reason, even though I put a new light in there. So we're gonna investigate that further. Some different things I need to do to this thing. I need to change the transmission fluid, need to change the oil, need to change the coolant, do all that stuff. Some of that I won't video because it's pretty basic, and I'm sure you guys aren't interested in watching me change the oil on a truck. But the transmission and cleaning up some of this other stuff, I'll try to get on video. I got to drop the gas tanks in this thing, or the fuel tanks. This is a diesel. They can get pretty nasty up in there. There's some filters that get clogged up, so we'll be dropping the gas tank on this fuel tank. Keep saying gas tank. To clean that. The dent I was talking about. Pretty sure somebody ran into the back of this with a forklift. This broken little weld right here dented this in. This light stays in pretty good. Never had it fall out. Again, haven't had the truck that long, so we're planning to see if we can hook this to something and pull that back out, re-weld that, make that a little bit better. And then there's that dent right there. So we're gonna work on all this and get it looking good. So a couple of the things I plan on doing to this truck, just kind of performance wise. I bought this truck to tow my camper around and eventually tow a bigger camper than what I have around. So I will be doing some performance inspired modifications to this. One of the things is I'm going to be replacing this exhaust. This truck has a aftermarket exhaust tip on it, but the exhaust is still the completely stock 3-inch. You do a 4 or 5-inch exhaust of these, really helps wake them up, adds a little bit of horsepower, especially if you do a bigger downpipe as well. So that's something that I'll be doing in the future. All right, so we're underneath the hood here now, and I just want to talk about some maintenance items and some performance items that I'll probably be doing underneath here. One, the filter here. This is the completely stock air box. I did upgrade, put a K&N air filter in here because the stock one was pretty nasty, and I just went ahead and bought a K&N one because they're a little bit better. But I do plan on upgrading this to some sort of bigger performance intake. I haven't quite decided on brand. I'm back and forth a little bit, but that is something that will be happening in the future. As far as maintenance and some preventative stuff, these boots and such that are on the charge pipes for the intercooler from the turbo, these boots do start to deteriorate over time and leak. That one over there, and then there are ones that connect it to the intercooler here, and then one over there on that side. Those two tend to break down and leak over time, so I'm going to be replacing those with some new stuff just to make sure we're not having any boost leaks or just throwing soot all over the engine bay to make it nasty. We actually already did clean up this engine bay some. I've got a little video for that, and I will be posting that. Another thing we're going to do as far as a maintenance item, this is something that's really going to be hard to show y'all, but on the back side of the motor, where the turbo connects to it, there are things called up pipes. Those over time do start to leak soot and such, robbing you of power because that's a boost leak. I've looked at mine visually. They don't seem like they're leaking a lot of soot, but I have not driven this truck much since I bought it. And it was sitting for a pretty long period before I bought it. So that's something I'm going to keep an eye on as to whether or not I need to actually do that. Probably the last thing, and this will be probably one of the last things I end up doing to the truck because it is the most involved and the most expensive, will be brand new injectors. The injectors on these trucks, like most diesels, are underneath the valve covers in the heads. That's not a crazy hard job on these, especially if you get the right tools to pull them out of there, and the person that put them in before knew what they were doing. I think this truck still has stock injectors, but I really have no way of knowing. Doing injectors on this truck really wakes them up, or if they're just old tired stock injectors, really just brings it back to life of where it was when it was brand new. So that's something that probably we will be investing some time in the future. But for now, I'm going to be draining the transmission. I'm going to be draining all the fluids, checking all of them, flushing all of them out, dropping the gas tank, doing all the things to get this truck so I know that all the fluids in it are good, everything has a good service interval, and I know that everything in there has been changed, and we are at least at a good working order. So follow along for that, and I hope y'all enjoy it. See y'all in the next video.